Hey guys, Rachele here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I am doing a hashtag. This one is called the Only 10 Mass Market Decks. This was started by the beautiful ladies Theia from Garden Goddess Tarot and Meg from Rose Honey Ritual. So I'm going to do a little bit of twist on this, just because I can, and because I love Oracle just as much as I love Tarot. So I'm going to do one of each, but I'm going to try to not make this super long. So let's just get started. So I'm going to do the tarot first. And the ladies did say also that they are just automatically, these are automatically included. Okay. So these are the two, the Thoth and the Centennial version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So those are a given pretty much. So first one. And these are not in any order. These are just how I have them over here when I grabbed them off my shelves. Tarot Vampires. This is not one that I have worked with a lot, but it is one that I do intend on working with a lot, and we are going to be starting a study very soon, Courtney and I. And I have always loved vampires. This deck is so gorgeous and seductive in its darkness, you know? So, yes, the colors, the art, gosh, I just love it. So that's one. Number two, and I really like what Candy did with her video on this that I watched yesterday, I believe. And she talks about not necessarily the ones that she's worked with, but also ones that she plans on working with and wants to pull out or do more work with. So she included those. But for me, it's kind of a mixture of both, I would say. So Green Witch Tarot, my goodness, yes. Since I got this, I'm in love with it. I've used this so much. It is like, I just don't understand why I waited so long, to be honest with you. Silliness, I suppose. I love this deck so much. And you're going to see that a lot of these are Llewellyn because I like the Llewellyn cardstock. Cardstock is a big thing for me. If I can shuffle it really good, I feel like it's easier for me to work with. I work with it more often. I want to pull that out more. So, and I like Llewellyn cardstock. I like the box. I know that it does take up a little bit more room, but I love that they're all uniform. And because I like organization, it's something I can put on my shelf and do a whole row of nothing but Llewellyn. So I'm all about that. Bringing order to chaos. So that was number two. Number three is the Everyday Witch. Like I said, these are not really in any kind of order. They're just, I don't even know why I'm doing numbers. Maybe just trying to keep up with my, like so I don't go over 10 of each. Now, for me, it's just why I keep them most generally is just, you know, they're my like favorite top 10 mass market decks is just because they're easy for me to read with. And I mean, I just instantly get it. They're wonderful guides, counselors, you name it, all of the above. So this one was instrumental for me. It's the Everyday Witch. So that was number three. Number four is the Llewellyn. I love this one so much. I use this a lot this year in the Weavers monthly medicine. I don't know why I held out so long on this deck also. I do love Dawn Michelle's version of the smaller cardstock. Well, not smaller. She cut them all down. But she knows this deck so well. I don't know this deck that good yet in order to cut it down. I would like to. But, you know, it is what it is. Maybe I'll buy a second one and cut one down. And that way I have like a backup. But even this one, even though this is a little bit wider, I'm pretty sure this one I can shuffle pretty good. Now watch me. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to set myself up. Okay, see? I can still shuffle this one, so I'm okay with it. I don't necessarily like the big chunky stuff, but even if I cut it down just like this, and I know some of them, I think it's the Major Arcana, I'll have like that. The names on them, but I don't really use that too much when I'm reading with this anyway, so, but yes, so the number 4 one was the Llewellyn Tarot. Number 5 is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. This is yet another one that I held out. I've seen so many people getting this particular deck. Oh gosh, right when it came out, I was watching all of the walkthroughs, and I think the artwork is just absolutely stunning. But I limited myself for so long thinking that I had this covered, these themes covered in the Everyday Witch. And as much as I love the Everyday Witch, it did not cover this. I mean, and I think another thing that held me back was in the beginning, all the different, you know, like visions and spells and all of the different naming of the suits. But now it's not an issue. And I love immersing myself into this world full of color and fantasy and, yeah, just pure beauty. So that would be my number 5. My number 6 would be the Druidcraft. I keep saying I need to get the bigger one, you know, the one with the bigger book. So I will eventually. But this is my Druidcraft. I love it. I love the size. After cutting it down, because the other cards were so big and they had a couple of different edges on them, which I just could not stand. Once I cut this down, I just fell in love with this deck even more. And it is definitely one that I always reach for. And I don't want to be without it. So that would definitely be one of my 10 mass market tarot decks. And my number 7, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, number 7. Of course you had to know that this was going to be here. Tarot of the She. This is one of my, oh my goodness, this is definitely one of my soul decks. So is the Everyday Witch. Probably the Green Witch also. And yeah. I love this deck so much. I love the book. I love the depictions. This deck, it was a, wow. I mean, I had seen it, and the first time I seen it, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can get on with that artwork, because the artwork is definitely so different. But the more and more I seen it, and the more people had talked about how they loved, like, the book and immersing themselves into this world, I was like, okay. And some of the artwork was just phenomenal. Like, this death card is stunning. The world, yes, like the world tree. Gosh, yes. I'm like all about that. This was one of the pivotal cards for me and why I wanted this deck. And yeah, about that, the Ten of Wands, because that's one of my cards that used to stalk me and still does every once in a while, where I felt like, I talked about that savior complex in my previous video. And this was one of those pivotal cards that helped me realize that it's not my responsibility, even though I have taken that on and was taught that they were my responsibility. It's not. And that is so, in my opinion, egotistical. And it's an unconscious thing. And this was one of the pivotal decks that also helped me in discovering that part of my shadow. So, yeah. So that was what I say, number 7. So number 8 is the Tarot of Light. Oops. This deck is so beautiful. And I did trim this one down. The artwork, the keywords, the names of them, it just friggin' works. And I don't want to be without this deck. It just works for me. My whole belief system, everything. Even if I don't even have to read it out of the book, although I like to, but I don't have to because the artwork just feels like what I believe. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Love it. That was number 8. The Tarot of Light. Number 9. The Dreamkeeper's Tarot. Because dream work is such a huge thing for me. Huge part of my practice. And I have my own beliefs on doing dream work. I do offer dream analysis where I help people. I don't analyze their dream. I help them to understand how to analyze their own dreams when they tell me, especially like repeat things. It's just maybe, I don't know. I think I just have a good grip on that or something. I don't know. I'm just really, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I'm very good at that. But because of it being such a huge part of my practice and huge part of who I am and the way that I see the world, because I've always been this just vivid dreamer full of so many experiences and communications in my dreams and future events unfolding, that this particular deck, I love how it feels like that dream state sometimes, and so when I have a certain dream, sometimes I will turn to this deck or, a couple other decks to say, okay, help me understand exactly what that was about, because, there's all these dream books that you can get as far as like major symbolism and stuff like that, but I don't really follow that. That are part of mass consciousness. I get it if it's a direct sigil or symbol or something like that. But like seeing this particular animal doesn't always mean this, because it's these messages that we get are from our higher self and how we would interpret them. So it doesn't mean what somebody else would think of that. It's how you, when you think of that animal, how you interpret it. You know what I mean? What deep-seated feelings do you have about that animal and what could it symbolize? Yada, yada, yada. So anyways, and then my number 10 is Tarot of the Haunted House. This is a newer one for me. I had seen it for a long time, and I didn't get it for the longest time just because I don't know. I held off on it. I loved it. It felt kind of cheesy to me, but I really enjoy this deck. Look at that. That makes perfect friggin' sense to me. Yeah. I love the artwork. I love the theme of it, being a haunted house and having paranormal things happening, because I've had that quite a bit in my life too. So, yeah. And it's just fun. I mean, it is just a fun deck also. You know, make light of some of those things. I think I actually have something in the house now that we've stirred up with all of the work that we've had done on the house this last year. So I think that's what the orbs have been about, and I'm hearing loud noises and stuff like that in the house, and the dogs have been a little bit, well, Sully, he'll just sit there and growl sometimes for no reason, so I think we might have stirred something up. So I want to do a little bit of paranormal investigation too, so yeah. So those are my top 10 mass market tarot decks, and my 10 oracle decks are, this was my very first deck, period, out of any decks, was the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. And once I got this led me into getting tarot, because my next cards were tarot. But, and I know this is who shall not be named, right? Doreen Virtue. But I feel like I don't care about all that. When she was doing this, that's what was her truth. And that's what these were done in. And maybe her truth is different now. It doesn't matter. She wasn't producing this stuff then. So none of that matters to me. But this deck opened up a whole lot for me about learning about different goddesses, because I was raised and always believed in, you know, the Christian God. Well, maybe not quite the Christian God. That's what also kind of led me away, was the depiction of that Christian God. But actually allowing myself to explore other divinities, other goddesses. And I've not looked back ever since. So this is one of them. I think these are completely empowering, and learning about the different feminine principles, you know, and female empowerment. This is another one because I definitely believe in aliens. I always have, my entire life. And I've had many experiences. Also in dream state. I talked about what happened to me in a couple of videos ago, the Tradwitch tag, about something grabbing me from underneath of the bed when I was about 5 years old, or no, 3 or 4 years old, but grabbing me from under the bed, and it affected me until my early 20s. I always had to sleep with all my limbs completely covered up, and I could never have any of my limbs, arms, nothing hanging over the bed. Into my early 20s, I would always sleep with my back to my husband so that I felt more secure. It was very traumatic. But I had family members also tell me things that had supposedly happened to me in another house when I was a baby. My mom had me go through the house with a preacher repeating the Lord's prayers, and one of my aunts said she saw me floating a couple of different times. I was crying. She came to get me. I was floating up out of the crib. Just, yeah. And I think that that might be extraterrestrial. Now, looking back, I think it might have been extraterrestrial. So I love this deck. It's kind of cutesy. I don't think of aliens like this, but it's a fun representation. And so I wouldn't want to be without it. I love it. I believe that there is truly a galactic federation. I believe that there are Andromedans. I believe that there are mantis beings. I believe the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, yep, I believe in reptilians. Yep, I believe in all of them. So, that's another one. The Mystic Martian Oracle. And then, this is a newer one, but one I instantly fell in love with. I've been looking at it for a little bit, and I'm really into exploring right now a little bit of the Celtic origins. I mean, I kind of always have. The first goddess I was drawn to was Danu. I still am. She is my biggest, well, no, she's not my biggest anymore, but she is on my prosperity altar. I love Danu and what I could find about her. And, you know, she was the mother of the Tua De Danann, and who were known as the She race. And when I think of Celtic stuff, not to mention my lineage, I think of this. I mean, I've seen these faces of these beings in dreams. The one and only time that I did, and I'm not advising this or recommending this, this is an adult video, you know, for adults only, it's not made for children. The one and only time that I did acid as a teenager, I had an experience with, and I've talked about this before on my channel, with little beings. They were probably 2 feet tall, and they kept, I was outside, and they were going between tree to tree. They were like peeking out from the tree and giggling. I heard lots of giggling, and then they take off running. And when they ran so fast, it was like a blur, you know, like tracers, leaving tracers behind. But they were tiny, and they had like little faces like I showed you, like little, like gnomes or whatever, you know. I mean, kind of like that, but they were little, you know. And it was the funniest experience. And I kept on saying, don't you see them? They're like everywhere. And they were everywhere. They were all around. And you could hear giggling everywhere. But anyways, so I love this. I know I'm getting way off track. I'm sorry. Another one I love is the Celtic Tree Oracle, because I'm also learning about the different tree associations. Now mine, I did cut down. I did not like those big old cards. I like this, and I cut them down significantly, so they're much smaller now. I am very interested in learning more about the Ogham, the symbolism. I bought a set of Oghams off of Etsy that are made in all the different woods that are associated with it, and just learning more about that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. So that was the Celtic Tree Oracle. Another one of my decks, Oracle number 5, I believe, is the Spirit Animal Oracle. Oh my gosh, this was one of the first oracles also that I got. And it's Colette Baron Reed, the Spirit Animal Oracle. I love this deck so much. It's so beautiful. I edged mine in a like teal, kind of to match the backs. The backs are gorgeous. I'm going to keep it real here. Sometimes I buy them because the backs are so gorgeous that I can't. I got to get them too, because I'm a very visual person. But also these cards are so beautiful. But the book, the write-ups, and it's such a hefty little deck. Or I mean a hefty little book. Talking about each one of these different kinds of animals, because I'm not good with animals in tarot, but learning about the different animal associations and stuff like that is fascinating to me. And I just love animals so much, and the artwork is so stunning in these. So this is another one of my decks. This would be what, 5? Okay, and number 6 is the Black Moon Astrology cards. These I also modified. I modify a lot of my decks. Cut these down also significantly and etched them in purple. These were a pivotal deck for me in becoming more interested in astrology and being able to learn more about astrology. I'm going to keep these in order. I like to use them, but just to give you an idea. So this is another mass market deck, Oracle, that I absolutely love. Love, love, love. But I love all of my Oracle decks. Or I mean all of my astrology decks for different reasons. So that was what, 6? Yep, that was 6. Number 7. Again, another one that has to do with Celtic and the Mists of Avalon. I am so enthralled and always have been with the story of Camelot and King Arthur and Merlin and Guinevere and Sir Lancelot and Galahad and the surrounding area, you know, and wanting to know about Avalon and that magic, you know. Morgan Le Fay. So this is another one of my decks that I absolutely love. And I just watched a video that Dawn Michelle did showing how she uses Oracle decks in order to help guide her in creating tarot spreads and stuff. And she used this deck and showing the different directions. You know, having a card here, 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 here for the different, like, what's this one? Motherhood, acceptance, feminine power, and beauty. So you see, you could make a really good spread out of that. And she did. And gosh, I love this deck. Another one, I just did this, I showed this deck in, my Tarot Village. Because I also did an Oracle and a Tarot in that. And this deck was so pivotal because I am also extremely interested and have been for a few years now. Once I learned about shadow work and the different archetypes and a little bit about Carl Jung and stuff like that, I was interested in digging deeper. And this was also a pivotal, I also modified this. The reason I modified this deck is because, you know, it had the white border and I had tried writing, because this is not an easy deck to use without, I mean, if you're using it intuitively, fine. But the book is just a huge gem, okay? And I wanted to have like keywords to help me with each one of these because I didn't want to always have to delve into the book. But I just did not like my writing. I didn't use the right pen. It kind of smudged a little bit, so I didn't like it. So I went through and cut off all of the edges and edged it in the black. I will say I am not a fan of these backs. Yeah, I can't stand these backs. But I do love the fronts of these. I like learning more about these different concepts, and the book is so good. I'm really not a huge fan of some of her other work, which I have it, but, you know, like the tarot, the Wild Unknown Tarot, not my thing. Not my thing, but I had to get it to discover that. But this deck is excellent, and I don't want to be without it because it's pivotal. So there's another one. Okay, so I believe this is 8. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 9. This is Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards. These, I love this when I'm working with ancestor work. I think that this is a beautiful deck. I really think that there's some, the book is really, really good. Sorry, making sure you can see these. And I have had some very powerful readings also with this gorgeous, gorgeous deck. I think that this can be used really good, not just with ancestor communication, spirit communication, but also with past life stuff. So yeah, that's another one. Ancestor Spirit Oracle cards. And for my last one, number 10, I couldn't choose between these two, so I just said, okay, I'm just going to choose them both. So, the Sacred Rebels. This one feels like when I'm just like, you know what? I have 0 F's to give anymore. I'm feeling feisty, and I need to have Spirit like get rough with me a little bit and say, listen, you know what? It's okay to feel the way that you feel. Be bold. Be, you know, be you. Yeah. I just love this deck so much. I can't even tell you. It inspires me. And gosh, man, it is so beautiful. The artwork is so beautiful. So, this one, it's like this deck is a confirmation that it is absolutely okay to just be who you are. That's what you're supposed to do, is be who you are. No apologies, right? So that one. And the Lantern Oracle. This one is so beautiful. I didn't get this one for the longest time too. I did cut it down. I cut mine down. I still have to edge it yet, but it looks so much better to me now. And it's an easier size for me to work with. This one feels like it's not going to sugarcoat anything for you. This is a good deck for working, in my opinion, through shadow work. And this is why I also say that shadow work for me has not been so traumatic for me, and I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, shadow work, when I do it, it's liberating. Every time I find out why I felt a certain way about something underneath and I didn't realize it, something so strongly, and then I can release it or integrate and accept that side of myself as me being me, it has been a liberating, I mean, finding the shadow. Before you find the shadow, it's like a tower moment. And then once you have that tower moment, you're like breaking out of your skin kind of thing. You know, those restraints. This deck is so good for that. That's why it's the lantern, right? It's like helping you work through that shadow to get to the other side, the light. So those were my 21 decks, but 10 for Oracle and 10 for, well, 11 for Oracle and 10 for Tarot. If you are still here with me and have watched the whole thing, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your tags. And I will be putting a link down, and I'm not sure if I said this, I will be putting a link down to both Theia's and Meg's original videos on this. So please go check them out if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have. But if you haven't, please go check them out. And I am sending you love always.